So, Ev, how are you and the family been, mate?
Yeah, mate, great. Yeah, great. Appreciate you having me on as well. Obviously, I've seen you
Oh, I
doing a lot
asked
of
you a
good
long
things.
time
So
ago, actually, didn't I? And I've just like caught up in
yeah,
life, like we spoke about
obviously,
off
mate.
camera, then, didn't we, mate? So I do apologise. So we'll go
No,
right
mate.
to the start, mate. And where did your rugby story begin? Where did you live as a kid, and who did you grow up with?
Yeah, so it didn't really start with rugby, to be honest. From the centre of the universe, I like to call it, Berry Road, Ditton,
Mate.
as you know, mate.
Yeah.
Tony Simons, Hazel, my mum, and then my brother as well, my older brother, Wes. So we lived in the bottom of Berry Road in a little cul-de-sac there. Um, yeah, great upbringing. Like, you know what I mean. I couldn't ask for any more really from that point of view. Parents' side, very supportive, very encouraging. Always probably pushing for the best as well all the time. So yeah, I couldn't speak more highly about my childhood.
Oh, with you and Wes, mate, was it competitive? Because you're quite good mates as well, aren't you? It's like if you know you now. But you
Yeah,
imagine growing up, there was a bit
we,
of
yeah,
competitiveness, mate.
we're totally different though. Honestly, he's more of an academic, and he's gone on great and got a great career, and went to university, went off, and he's got a great job, and he loves football, loves Everton. Obviously, Everton runs in our family, as you know. Big Everton fans all the way, but I mean, not really is that brotherly sort of competitive edge you would usually associate with two brothers. We're completely different. Although we get on really well and we're very close, we're totally different, really, in that aspect.
Might be why you're so close as well. Have you can pull each other away from each other's world, mate,
I
which
think
I've
so.
no doubt we'll chat about as your career got serious. So
Yeah, mate.
where did rugby come into your life, Evan? Or when and where what club was your first club?
Yeah, so I was playing. I played football. Like, obviously, my dad didn't have a clue. He's
Yeah.
obviously Scouser, isn't he? He didn't have a clue. He moved, met my mum, moved to Widnes, and yeah, and that he encouraged. I loved football, loved sport growing up, loved running. Always had a ball at my feet. Never really touched the rugby ball. Didn't really have that up until around 10. I would say around 10. Um, yeah, and football was everything, and I'd go to Liverpool, and I'd be playing that every week, Sunday league footy, and
What
then
out of town, mate?
all
Yeah.
out of town. Yeah, I was playing in the Belvale League in Liverpool, and my dad would take me up there, and I would just be playing up there. But all the lads in the road, they played rugby. There was quite a lot of kids in our road, and they were all playing rugby like leaguers as well. And obviously, I'd play out with them, and I'd just play with it. But we still played footy as well. But then that's how I probably got introduced to rugby, was just the lads in the road. And there's different age ranges, and we had some big lads in our road as well. And it's full on playing, full on in the street and on concrete. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's really how it was. And then I think I got to an age where I went in and I'd spoke to my mum and dad, and I said, "Oh, I fancy playing rugby, really. Like, I don't know if footy. I don't know if I want to play footy. I want to go. I want to play rugby." So my dad took me up the Wids. He said, "Oh, there's a rugby club up the road. It's only up the road. We'll take you Wids." So obviously, I didn't know the difference between league or union. Didn't have a clue. Took me up there, and I absolutely loved it. I was in Derek Oliver's team. George Lang, Scoey, a few other lads there. So I played up there. Absolutely loved it. Had some great times.
So when you're going away, mate, like so obviously football's deemed to be a bit clicky, Ev. So how did you find it, mate? Did you find it easy to fit in?
Yeah,
Especially being an out of towner, mate, sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Obviously, I was a bully back when I going into it, but I was good at footy. I was all right at footy. I went on it. Obviously, everyone's had trials somewhere, haven't they? I had trials at Everton. Went there, played, had trials there. So I was good. I was probably one of the good ones in the team. The team wasn't the best as a team. We weren't the best. Um, but yeah, yeah. I still, you sort of in a sport, if you're all right, you sort of get on, don't you? And people sort of draw to you anyway. So yeah, I didn't sort of get left out just because I was from Widnes, and I think kids at that age didn't really know anyway. It's more the adults, isn't it? You're not from
Oh,
round
yeah.
here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So as an Everton fan, that must have been massive as a kid. That mate, you must have been buzzing.
yeah, yeah. No, it was huge. It was huge. Obviously, but I can't really think about that then. I was just playing footy, but I know it, I remember getting a letter and that through the door. Invited to trials. A scout come up at the end of one of the games, just come up like training. It's nothing. It was nothing sort of serious, but just come up training Everton, and then from them they start selecting again. Obviously, I didn't go any further with that. Um, yeah, so yeah,
And I know again we'll talk about your rugby position and the way they both calls differ, how you go about your business. But do you
yeah.
reckon maybe playing all them sports contributed to your union side's kicking game? Because your kicking
Yeah,
game was good there, wasn't it? So
yeah, it was. I was left-footed as well, so I know it's a bit different in it. I know not as many left-footers about as well, so I know that fitted well. And then into union, I think the fly half was. I think it was Rory at the time. He was obviously strong kicker, right-footed. He would do most of the kicking from that side, and then when the sort of ruck and a maul was on play, I'd sort of box kick it over on this side. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
open the field up a bit, even at
yeah,
that
so
age.
there was a bit, there was even a bit of that. Obviously, not knowing and thinking about that, about the structure of the game, but it worked well.
Well, that's the beauty at that age, mate, innit? You don't really you play because you're
You're
loving
just
it, don't
playing.
you? You play what you
That's
see,
it,
yeah.
mate. You're just
Yeah.
playing.
So when did you play a town team at Ed because you were quite late to rugby, or did your school introduce that?
Yeah, so obviously I went to Tower College, didn't I? Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, I hated it, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated it. I was it. That was at like lower school. Went to Tower College. Absolutely hated it. There was no sport there. It was my brother went there, so that's why I went there.
Right.
Obviously he went all the way through, great, but I was fighting every week. I
Yeah.
honestly hated it. No sport, no release for me really. I was, I was like a dog in terms of I wanted to be doing something, running all the time. Then it
Bit
just didn't
caged
have,
up.
it didn't have
Yeah.
that. Yeah, there was no
Right.
rugby posting that on the fields and things like that.
Okay.
There was nothing. It was all about what grade you got. And got to year 7, and they more or less just said like asked us to leave. Like usually you go on if you've got someone,
Yeah.
like a brother who's gone on and done well. He's 6 years older than me. He was going through his GCSEs, doing really well, and then there's me coming through, obviously not
Right.
doing so well academically,
Yeah.
causing mayhem. And I think they just pulled my parents in and said it's probably best Evan doesn't go into it's not for him. We're not going to take him on. So I went on to Liverpool College then, and it was the best. I absolutely loved it. Um, Loads of sport. Everything was about sport. Sport 3-4 times a week. Um, and rugby union. Obviously, some lads from the Wids were up there at the same time. And then Scoey come up. I was obviously playing with him at the Wids. He come up, um, joined the same school as well. So we had a good school team as well. So we were playing like we played George Lang, we were playing Eddie's, like we were in that sort of environment where we were playing there. So yeah, I loved that time and loved school. A lot of cricket, a lot of different sports. Yeah, so that was great. And then probably like year 8, year 9, rugby union was probably not giving me enough. I was still playing in the street, still
Yeah.
playing with the lads, and they were all going, "What are you doing playing that union? Why are you playing that? Yeah, we all play league here. We're from
Mm.
Widnes. We play league, as you know."
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously went back home, spoke to my dad, my mum. I want to play league now. Okay, we'll find you a league team. Ended up going up the Holton Hornets. Um, I went there about year 9, I think it was year 8, year 9. I was with Paul Hume in this team. Um, yeah, and yeah, great. It was great.
So how did you go in at hooker? Right.
Well, to be fair, it was a bit of a change. Obviously, I didn't know the difference. I come in pretty
Yeah.
new, really, so I wasn't. It took me a bit of time to adapt, really, and obviously late developer, I would say physically. I mean, even now, probably not fully developed. I'm still waiting for it to. I'm still waiting to develop. uh, but yeah, I went in as a sort of hooker, but I wasn't first choice. There was other lads in there who were
Right.
probably better than me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. And as a kid, mate, 'cause obviously we'll talk about when we come into to contact. But was you someone that shied away from the contact? Because you definitely wasn't when I come across you and that. So has that always been in
No.
you? You enjoyed that side?
Yeah, I think so. And probably a lot was probably around that time as well, where league, obviously Union wasn't probably giving me enough there. Went to league and it was, a lot more physical. We
Yeah.
had Paul Hume. He was saying, don't. I remember like some of the stuff. I still remember it now to today. Like, don't. We're not just going in to tackle these. We're going in to hurt them. Like, this is not just. We're not just going in just to play like tiddlywinks. We're going into it. We want to hurt people. And it was a tough league. Obviously, that league were playing like Blackbrook and Jude's and Wigan St Pat's. Like these players,
With the
obviously
Premier,
the
mate, aren't you?
foundation
Yeah.
of course, they're like the foundation of what like Super League's built on now, really, isn't it? So the standard was really good.
Right. So when did you start taking rugby serious, mate? As in seeing it as a potential career path?
God, I don't know. I don't know. I just know I loved it. I didn't really. I didn't like anything else. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't really know anything else really. I just thought, I love rugby, and I probably it was probably around then actually. Yeah, I was probably already thinking, this is something I want to do. I want to play. Yeah, I just wanted to play as much as I could.
Yeah. And was so when did Witness come sniffing at? Surely you come through.
So I went on to them train to trains and things like that at the time. Do you remember when they had stuff like that? Like they had, I think it was
Oh
like
yeah,
train
like
to train
just
them
past
camps.
scholarship. Yeah, yeah.
Can't remember the
Right,
stage. You'll probably able to fit it better than me.
right.
Um, Went on to things like that, and then it folded. Um, it folded. Holton Hornets folded, and yeah, and then what did I do after that? I think I went to West Bank Swans then. Do you remember that? Do you remember West Bank
Yes,
Swans?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if they're
yeah.
still going or not like that. Yeah, but
Oh
went to
mate, yeah.
yeah, I went to there with the lad, Lewis Bailey, and he's not with us anymore. But I
Right.
went to there with him. Yeah, and yeah, just mad. It was mad. Well, obviously, other gang of lads from West Bank all just playing rugby. I remember it was crazy. I remember sometimes there we were in the middle of a field at one time in Blackpool, and just a nice charity family run was going on like on the Sunday afternoon, and there's a gang of lads here from West Bank like scrapping, full lot, parents in and everything, umbrellas, the full lot. And like obviously,
Yeah,
I'm going to good school, like a different school and that from all. I'm like a bit separate as well from all of these as well, but still really loving it and loving the contact and loving rugby as a whole there. But yeah, I remember that was crazy at the time. Thinking back, actually, it was mad.
yeah. It's all part of your story, mate, isn't it? It's what made you what you are.
Of
So
course.
it's a small part because your ability's the bigger part, isn't it? So what happened on the back of that, mate? What age did you
Yeah,
stay with them till?
yeah. So I think I'd done a year at them, and then I'd done a year at West Bank, and obviously, like Widnes and all that, and it is going on at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah,
I obviously went to the Bears for a bit. Um, and it was only under 20s that obviously I was mates with Lawton and Walshy and lads like that, and obviously I knew that the witness was going on at the time, and I remember him speaking to someone up there. It was like Phil Finney or someone like that. Lawton was putting a word for us, I think, and they were playing at the Wids one weekend, and I just went round to the coach and just said, "Oh, like I want to play. Like, do you reckon I can come down and play?" And they ended up inviting us down to go to under 20s at Widnes, not on a sort of contract or anything. Like it was just it was a sort of club contract that
yeah,
around
like pay as
insurance
you play.
reasons. Yeah, pay as you
Yeah,
play contract. There was no there's no money or nothing. It was like come on down sort of thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's when I went down there.
That's your opportunity to have in it, and you grabbed it, mate, didn't you?
Well, that was it. That was it. But well, I found it really hard. I found it really hard.
Right.
Um, and I struggled. I felt I didn't really get me a chance. Really, I only played 3 games. I think I played v like Saints, Cass, and FC, and I was always 18th man, not getting picked. And I found that a struggle really.
Right. So at that point, mate, when you're playing 20s, are you 18, 19?
19, I think. Yeah.
Right. So
Obviously, I went
what's
Riverside College at the same time.
right? So talk to us about that. What was the education route that you went down, mate?
Yeah, so still not an academic, going down, still just fighting for rugby. Finished school, went to go college. A couple of colleges I was looking at. I think I was looking at Carmel College as well, and then was looking at and Riverside. Ended up going on there. They did have like a training squad at the time that you could go to. Like some of the Widnes lads were going there, and you could go onto this sort of like BTEC sort of thing that you could go onto. Uh, Parents didn't want me to do that. I think probably deep down I did want it to do something like that, but they were like, it's probably not the best thing for you to do. Um, Thinking back, I don't know. I don't even know if college was for me, to be honest. I just tossed it off really for 2 years. I still bothered just about rugby. Scraped into uni, Manchester Met Uni. Yeah, off the back of that.
Because those that of us that know you, mate, know that you have got that relationship with your mum and
Mm.
dad where you could sit down and they'll be pretty straight with you, like you will be with them, won't you?
Yeah.
Especially if your dad's had one of the black magic in a pint in it. He loves a bit of Guinness, doesn't he? So
Exactly.
how was that chat, mate? Because you are a close family, aren't you? You can have them
Yeah.
chats quite openly.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was much of a chat, to be fair. It was a bit like, this is
More
probably,
telling.
yeah, it was probably a
Yeah.
telling at the time. Yeah, I think probably if I spoke to my family now about it, though, they would say, you know what, it probably, looking back now, it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea for you to do that. But yeah, you live and learn, don't you? As you get older, you look
Everything
back
happens
and
for
you
the reason.
reflect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did the witness thing finish?
Yeah, so at the end of that, the under 20s league, it got cut, didn't it? They cut the under 21s, didn't they? Do you remember that time where
Yeah.
like under 23 league, sorry, it got cut because obviously you could have potentially gone on to that. Um, Especially as someone, as I say, was probably late developer, still, wasn't fully developed even at that stage. Yeah, so then 23s got cut, and obviously I had no club to go to or anything like that, so. I think I went back. I think I went back playing for the Wids, or I think I went West Bank or playing for Wids. Can't remember. I might have been playing both at the same time at that stage.
So
Um,
yeah, so when we spoke, I do remember you playing international students rugby and
yeah,
really excelling, mate, which I think's what put you on the map on it. With other clubs, you were
yeah,
already on the map, but it highlighted you. And
100%.
then you were flicking between the coals because you had a really good spell with us, mate. When we done well in some national comp, didn't we? And that's
Yeah,
when you were breaking into the first team, and I think like Johnny was as well at the same time, wasn't he?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think you were doing West Bank, Uni Rugby, and somewhere in the middle of that you were sleeping.
yeah, yeah. It was. I was just playing, mate. I remember
Yeah,
because obviously I went on to Manchester Met after that. Obviously, as I say, I scraped onto uni. Went to Man Met and I went to the uni rugby team. It wasn't the best standard, but you had to sort of play that. And then these sort of like northwests and southwest and all that regional sort of come about at uni level. Um, so then I went on to that, went down to the trials, and at the time I think I was going for like the trials on the Sunday for them. I was playing like obviously a game um, for like northwest, and then I was going to play for the Wids after on the same day. It would travel up and go and play for the Wids. Yeah, loved it. Yeah,
mate.
having a
When you
banana in
could.
the car on the way.
So how did you keep finding it transitioning, mate, with like your game evolving? Because your game did like from like an outsider that didn't really know what you were going through at the
Mm,
time, which is
yeah,
mad because we all say we speak a lot on that, but you don't speak in depth
of
here.
course.
It's just
No.
so how was you transitioning from call to call, knowing that your game was changing for the better?
Yeah. Not sure really. I think I found Union easier. The more I played league, I did find you. I was obviously I played nine, didn't I?
Yeah,
In Union, and it's more you're technical a little bit, and you know the moves. They're just clocking up in your head, aren't you? Knew he's been drilling you them moves into you from Colts. Um, so obviously they were getting fed into me. Um, but I was still like learning league. I mean, I think my ambitions were league. That's when I really started to think it's league is what I want. Yeah, so I was just playing. I was just playing, mate. Yeah, couldn't really tell
right,
you. Just playing, just turning up. The ball was there. Just wanted to win. That
yeah.
was it.
No, that was always in you, to be fair. You had the big appetite for like winning the little battles, never mind the result.
Yeah,
So you could see that. So when we've not spoke about your Colts team, which was really successful, by the way, wasn't it? So
yeah,
when you were going through Colts, for people, listeners and viewers that might not know, Colts is under 17s to 19s, mate, isn't it? And at
yeah.
19s, then you transition into senior rugby, they call it. So you won the league, didn't you? The League Cup, Lancashire Cup, Cocker and North, which is the
Crocodile.
best team in the north of England.
Yeah, we had a
So
great team
how
that
did,
year.
yeah, you did, to be fair, mate. But you were
Some
all
great
like
players.
zoned in, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to us about them finals, mate, and how did you treat a big game to a without being rude, a standard league game? Did you go about anything different, Ev?
Not really. I think I've something I've always done as well. Every game's been a game like it's
Yeah,
probably always been. It sounds a bit cliche, but always been a sort of cup final game. Like yeah, it's never dipped depending on what game it is. It's a game of rugby, even if it was in training. I'd
yeah,
sort of was always like tenacious like that, and always just wanted to win. Um, so yeah, I didn't struggle with that really. That wasn't like getting up for a game or anything. I just know that wanted to win, and I loved that competition as well. So the further we'd get in them leagues and them big games, would love playing in them games. Yeah,
yeah,
look, and that gave me got a lot of confidence from that as well with the Colts. Good people, good coaches, obviously Newey, Jed, good people around the club as well. Um, we had a great team. You still know all the lads that have come through. Some of them are Wids legends, aren't they?
yeah,
Um,
mate. Yeah.
great lads. Yeah, loved it. Love that.
The beauty was we managed to keep hold of a good cardias as well, and you'd come like, don't you really think you played second team, did you? You're virtually like
No, straight through.
first
Yeah,
team
like
lads.
Smigger and
Like
that.
ready, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
So Smigger, G, you,
yeah,
Johnny,
yeah.
Scully,
There's a couple over there. Yeah,
Paul
I know he's
McLinden.
forward. Might have been Paul McClendon as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did have that good core group of lads. So when you were flicking back into, mate, did either core open your eyes to something happening in the other that made it seem easier? That makes sense, Ev.
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I reckon the league was just faster, more physical
Yeah,
and faster. That's all I felt. So I probably was performing better at Union at the time. So when I was obviously the league was helping me out for when I was coming to the Wids and playing for the
yeah,
Wids. I know I was playing all right rugby then because obviously I was playing league and I was fit as well at the time.
yeah.
So yeah,
You
probably
were
that really
playing,
just the speed of it.
yeah, you were playing national conference as well, mate, which
Mm.
is at West Bank, weren't you? You were playing the likes of
Yeah,
Waterhead and people like that, weren't you?
yeah.
So that
Dewsbury
that is a
Celtic
quick
and that.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a quick game. You go into tricky places week in, week
Mm.
out. And then when you come back to us, you were playing in big games for us as well, weren't you? So it was like you didn't have
Yeah,
actually you had a good point. You didn't have a time to sort of
yeah.
sit back, really, did you, mate? In
I
between
was,
uni as well.
yeah, I was in the washing machine, mate. Where like, and exactly where I wanted to be as well. Like, I honestly loved it. Yeah, I was in the washing machine and like couldn't get enough of it. Really, absolutely loved it.
How did you find student rugby league to the national conference? How was that?
Student rugby league was a drop, really. Yeah, everyone was there just Wednesday. I think it was a Wednesday afternoon. You would go to another uni, or they would come to yours, and obviously you'd be on the piss after it, wouldn't you? So yeah, it was just there for a bit of. You joined the club at uni, so that the standard of that in terms of like club level, so your uni level was poor. But then moving up into the regionals, and then I obviously went on to England and trials at England unis and into the England unis. There was obviously that's where other lads who were doing the same thing, but they were the best of theirs coming through. So at England unis at the time, I think there was lads like Jimmy Kynhorst and people like that. So obviously he's gone on to
Yeah,
win
good
Super League
standard.
and things like that. So that
Yeah,
standard really picked up. But England, we played England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales in like four nations. Um, and we were just so much better than all of them
yeah.
other nations. So we won that, which was it was great.
So you,
Loved
you
that.
you reckon you probably had to get to the top of the student game to feel like you were in a game?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And even
Right.
even at that level, like even then, there's probably we were because England were so good. We were, Wales were the probably only one you'd coast past at the time. Maybe not so much now because they've developed so
Yeah.
much, but in terms of like Scotland and Ireland, you would sort of beat them comfortably, and then the final would be always be like v Wales, and
Right.
you'd
Because then
it'd
rugby
be
union
tough.
was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be a bit
Right.
tougher. Yeah.
So did that open the door then, mate, for the semi-pro game to come and take you along a ride?
Yeah, I was trying to think when you asked me the other day about it, like what happened after that. So
Because I
I
remember
went
when
to
the London move come round.
yeah, I went to London, and I don't know how the move come about. To be honest, I didn't have
Right.
an agent or anything then. I don't
Yeah.
know how that happened. I think because there were some lads like Aaron Smalls and Michael Sykes who were playing. They were at Leeds Beckett, I think, or Leeds Met, and
Yeah.
they were some of them were playing down there in London. I think that's how it might have come about. And I went down there, and I went down there on full high hopes. Obviously, I'd come off the back of a bit of crap at Widnes where I probably didn't get a look in. Still fighting to wanting to make a name in the game. Um,
Yeah.
Went down to London full of, I had a little bit of a spurt again in terms of confidence from the back of playing at England, and I didn't click with the coach at all. Like down there, I hated the way I live with my brother down there. I was living with my brother. He was obviously working down there at the time, and he
Yeah.
put me up in his spare room. And I went down there, went to London, total way different way of living.
Yeah. And a young man as well, mate, as well. Still finding your way in life, never mind in rugby, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, no, I did,
Yeah.
and obviously I dropped out of uni. I dropped out of
Right.
uni as well. So I dropped out of uni, went down there, and then I was on a pursuit then for rugby was the only thing then. So it was either
Yeah.
I was fighting a sort of battle. Went down there and absolutely hated it. Yeah, hated it down there.
Well, you stuck it out though, mate. Yeah, you didn't come home.
Oh yeah, I stuck it out. I wasn't getting a look in again there, and honestly, I didn't know why. I
Yeah.
knew my ability as well. I don't know, just didn't click with the coach down there. I knew my ability, and I started to not give up on the game, but started to question like myself a little bit, and then but sort of knew no, I'm right in a way. I knew I still had something, but it was a tough time for me that. Mm,
Imagine, mate, because you're not round the corner from home. No offense,
exactly,
like your brother's working, so really you've not got mates down there, have you?
exactly.
Social media wasn't overly as big as it is now, was it?
No, we get on
Joking
now, aren't
aside,
we?
it's so much easier now. If it's like
Yeah,
it could might as well have been Australia, mate, might it?
yeah, mate. Yeah, you're right. Honestly, and like you say, and I'd left like lads from the Wids and West Bank were there. I was sort of respected a little bit as well, and like got on really well, was performing well, and then going down there and thinking, these don't play rugby league down here, and like they're telling me that I'm not good enough. I was a bit like I was confused a bit as well. You know what I mean?
Was he? So you don't need to name him, mate, but was he straight with you, Ev? Was he pulling you in and going, I need you to do this, or was it just straight up making life difficult?
It was Joe Mabou at the time. He'd be played for like London Broncos and things like that. So it
Yeah,
was like me thinking he's not like daft as well. Like he knows his thing, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just. Honestly couldn't put a thing on it. Couldn't tell you what it was. If he just didn't like maybe my attitude, my aura, or I'm not sure what it was. And I just kept my head down, stuck at it, and kept turning up and asking him as well, like I need to be playing. But I was getting a little bit of a chance here and there, but nothing set in stone. Yeah.
so I'm going to ask you a question now, mate, but it's obviously just who you are. But how do you manage to do that?
Is in what?
Keep going back, keep working hard,
Yeah.
keeping your standards high, knowing
Yeah.
like you probably knew you weren't going to get the opportunity as well.
Yeah.
And you're
I'm,
probably working, by the way, at this point
yeah.
as well.
Well, I was doing a little bit of labouring on the side for someone, just like I needed to
Yeah,
pick up some money living down there.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, my brother was putting me up for free, and I think that I've got to look back at like that very beginning in terms of the supportiveness of family as well around that, and that's probably a big thing behind it is like that how supportive they were at that time. Um, so I mean, obviously, a lot of credit goes to them in terms of them pushing that fight into me as well. But
yeah.
yeah, just kept turning up, like yeah, just kept turning up, and that was probably it was hard at the time, but yeah. obviously come out the other end of it anyway.
Yeah. So was that Scholars that, mate? 'Cause you
That was
went to
London
Hemel
Skolars.
as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved on to Hemel. So what happened with that is end of that season, obviously I come back home at the end of the got a job in Runcorn in I was just in a factory, I think, like a food factory in Runcorn on the production line for 12-hour shifts. It was horrible. Um, and I wasn't playing rugby for like honestly, it was horrible, John. I absolutely hated it. I hated that as well. A lot of things I didn't like along the way, isn't there?
Oh,
Yeah,
shames
so
it though, Ev.
honestly,
Thoughts done it,
so
yeah.
now I was real at the rugby. There was like real at the bottom. Like I was
Yeah.
pushing it away really because it was causing a lot of shit for me. So I was like pushing that away. Um, and I think I worked there for like 3-4 months, and I had no sort of options of what I was going to do. And I got a text off Troy Perkins in Hemel saying, I'm Troy from Hemel, fancy coming down and I'm playing for us next year. Remember going home and telling like my mum and that, and they were going, "Well, why don't you? They could see I was doing nothing. They were like,
Yeah.
why don't you go for it?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going down there, London again." Not like didn't want to do it, and it was the best thing he ever done. Yeah, best thing he
So,
ever done.
talk to us, mate, what happened when you get there and why was it the best thing you'd ever done?
Yeah, went down there and went down and lived with four Aussie lads in a house. Put us up in a clubhouse, just on pay as you play at the time. Still
Yeah.
went down there and yeah, and we just clicked. All of us just clicked. Gang of Aussie lads, free spirit as well. They were just over travelling, playing rugby, and we done really well that year. Great, we had a class season and I played some really good rugby and obviously went in starting nine as well, um, playing 80 minutes every week. Obviously, there was no one else to sort of pick from me, and I was just back playing.
You were a kid again, mate, yeah.
That's what it was. It felt like that, John. Just back playing, and yeah, love that. I owe a lot to Troy really for that. And I know he was just doing his job, trying to get someone in and rope someone in. But yeah, I loved it down there. It was great.
As much as he's pulled you in there, though, you've still got to have it in you to go and do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah,
So
definitely.
as much as it's not saying it, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, can you?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
opened the
no,
door and you've walked
100%.
through it, mate. Yeah,
It's just an opportunity, wasn't it, for us? Like
yeah,
like you say, it was an
yeah.
opportunity for me just to play rugby, and like you say, it was sort of rolling back a couple of years and just enjoying playing and being in the grind.
That's class, mate. So the love's reignited, and this is
Yeah,
so most of the listeners and viewers now will probably know you from this next stage of your life that we're going to talk about, won't they?
yeah,
So it's the
yeah.
Newcastle move, mate. And how did that come about? Because the beauty of you and Steph, for that matter, mate, is you fully buy into where you go, don't you?
I lost you then.
It's all right, mate.
Have you still hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So the beauty of you and Steph is wherever you go, you fully buy in and immerse and live,
Yeah,
breathe, and eat it, don't you? And
yeah.
Newcastle was one of them for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point as well because I never really. It's funny because I've done a bit of travelling later on. We'll get to that about Workington, but
Yeah.
yeah, I always said I can't. I'm not traveling. I'm commuting. If I'm there, I'm going all in. Like I want to live there. So
Yeah.
obviously I went down to London, went down to Hemel, lived there. Other lads were commuting in, but I just wanted to be in it fully. And then at the end of that, so the Newcastle bit come about is that I ended up getting an agent then.
Okay.
I didn't obviously I'm paving a way that I didn't really know about any of this. Like people had
Yeah.
agents and things like that. Obviously find out along the way, don't you? Have you got an agent? Have you got that? Didn't have a clue. So ended up getting an agent, um, and got to the end of we done really well for Hemel. We got to I think we got to like playoff semi final that year with Hemel,
Right.
and that was in
Yeah.
championship, obviously championship one,
Yeah.
and we played. It was Gateshead Thunder at the time, and it was changing that year. So we played them in the final at Kingston Park up here, and obviously I played really well. We got beat by a drop goal. It went to added time, like over 80 minutes added time, like golden point, and we got beat by
Yeah.
a drop goal. And at the end of it, obviously, we stayed up in Newcastle. A couple of lads, the Aussie lads, went, "Oh, we'll have a night out in Newcastle and that then." But Stanley Jean was the coach at the time, and he for Thunder, and he pulled us to the side and was like, "Oh, what's your plans in that next year? What you doing?" And obviously, I said, "Oh, I'll speak to my agent." You know what I mean? Like, so
That feel good.
yeah, like I'll speak to you, like as if you know what I mean. Funny, innit? When I'll have to have a word with the agent, sort of thing. But like, I was keen. Like, they told us the plans. They were moving into Newcastle, moving to uh, Kingston Park, changing the name to Newcastle Thunder, and it was like a big new sort of project. And I was sold like, yeah, this is me. I need to do this. So that's where that come about.
So logistically, mate, how is it for are you with Steph at this point?
Yeah, yeah. So we're
Yeah,
like courting sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, still speaking in like Hemel, but not
yeah,
obviously not serious at that
yeah.
time.
So how is it for a young man then, mate, that's beginning his life in rugby and potentially, I know you've married Steph now, but earlier on you're potentially beginning your life with Steph
Yeah,
and you've gone from midway country, bottom to the country, and now you're going to the top of the country
yeah,
because you're just seeking that like that opportunity, aren't you? And what does that all entail for a young lad? Because there's a lot of logistics there, haven't there?
yeah. I mean, probably really selfish at the time from me, really. And there was probably, yeah. Obviously, Steph's done a lot. At the time, she didn't even move up to Newcastle that first year. She was commuting for 2 years on the train every Friday. She was coming up and then going home on the Sunday, and
Commitment,
she was
that in
work.
it.
So
Yeah,
like she really bought in with it as well, and that's when like obviously we we started getting really serious with that. But yeah, it was yeah, it's tough. It was tough, but you've got to be sort of selfish as well. You hear a lot of people say it, and it's a selfish sport, and that at the times, isn't it?
yeah. No, it is, mate. And you players are probably really the most unselfish because it's you just putting your head in your body in the way of
Mm,
things that other people wouldn't dare to dream of doing it, aren't they?
yeah,
But trying to tell you how to do it sometimes, mate, after they've had a
yeah,
few and stuff. But so that first year, mate, I was adapting from champ one to championship and
yeah,
what sort of thing did you see in your game that you could take with you?
yeah. So that what they were still in championship, John, at the time. So
Yeah,
obviously they didn't go on to win. Then I don't know if they got beat by that year, but I went up. So obviously I went back home and moved at home, and I'd signed for Newcastle. So I went through a little bit of adversity again in terms of they had four. There was I was the fourth hooker, so they signed me on the whim really. They put me in they put me in the clubhouse, so I was gonna move up to a clubhouse, and I was set to go up for pre-season in November, and they kept putting it off. No, no, it's not ready. The house is not ready, sort of thing. And I'm thinking the lads are in pre-season here, and I'm not even there. Like I'm start obviously thinking, what's going on? I'm never gonna play. I need to get up there. On
yeah,
the phone saying it needs to be ready, like I need to go, so I'm ready. So then I come up and obviously found out quite quick. I was like probably like third choice really in at hooker at the time, um, and again found that probably a bit difficult. But I had a lot of sort of stock built up and resilience in terms of I ain't coming up here to sort of just make the numbers up.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a good time as well. And then moving into the first game, I got lucky. But well, you say that now as a team player, it's probably not lucky because the lads got injured. But two of the lads got injured before the first game, and I was straight in at hooker for starting first round.
Right.
A bit of luck, really. That
That's
was
how it is,
probably what I
mate. Yeah,
needed. A bit of luck, mate.
yeah,
Yeah, two of the other hookers dropped out in like I think it was like one of them was 2 weeks before, and then one of them was the week before in the game, like pulled up. So obviously they just had to throw me in, and then I sort of like grasped that. I was like, I didn't want to look back then. Um,
yeah.
yeah, obviously played all year then.
how is it, mate, when you first go in to like an environment like that, and you see like Simons on the back of a jersey with all your stuff up and that? How is that, or how is it when that
Yeah.
young kid first asks for your autograph and that? Is it class that?
Yeah, yeah, obviously it is. I mean, still, you still don't think, in your eyes, you still haven't proper made it because you're still searching for the top, aren't you? And that's
Yeah,
something that I've always wanted to go to the very, very top. But in terms of, kids being around and they made it really professional that year, you did have your own peg and it was big up here at the time. Newcastle Thunder were going to go on to do things. So, there was a real professional edge to it. Ice baths, we were in Gateshead International Stadium, all masseuses and everything like that was all new to me.
yeah.
So obviously that I loved it, absolutely loved it. Yeah.
No, brilliant, mate. And what was life like off the pitch, mate? So like job, did you have a job? What was
No, I
life
wasn't
looking like?
working. Yeah, I
No,
wasn't working. Still just on the hunt for yeah, still just on the
greatness.
hunt for yeah for the top.
Yeah,
That's what I was just going for. Yeah, that's what I had nothing else left, so I was just rugby was the only thing. Yeah.
yeah. Because I know you done a little bit with, was it Cramlington, mate? You helped out there for a bit and that, didn't you? How did you find that?
Yeah, so obviously I got on like you say with the kids and things like that. I always welcomed like the younger lads, and we used to do like little like sessions, like Widnes do with West Bank and things like that. We
Yeah,
would do that with the local area and that here, and like got on with like loved teaching all the kids and things like that. So me and another lad, Vinny, we went to do like the head coach of the open age, and yeah, great to sort of give back a little bit as well at that stage, and like pass on a little bit of knowledge there that I'd picked up along the way. Um, so yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
yeah. Open your eyes a little bit though, mate, because it can be tricky, can't it? And
Yeah, I mean the standard's not the same as back home, John. That's probably something that's suffering up here early in terms of Newcastle, and they're trying to say at the minute that trying to pick from their own sort of players and rebuild again in the local area, but it's not like the pool of players back home there down in the northwest. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Everyone wants to play for the Saints, Wigan, and
yeah,
that, don't they? So it's yeah,
they do, mate. So what you've seen some changes up there as a player, mate. I mean, yeah, when them bigger names were coming in, mate, how did you take the challenge? How did you take new faces? Did people
yeah.
ever pull you and have a direct chat with you? Is that when it starts getting, because you previously, what we spoke about, sort of beat around the bush with you, haven't they? And haven't been straight with you. You're
Yeah,
someone that can take a straight chat, aren't you?
yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, and I like that. I would love it. So I was someone who, when we'd signed someone, I was made up. We'd signed like a decent player coming in. I thought, well, I think so. I lived with Durrell second year. He was obviously gone on to play for Leeds, and I think he's at Wakefield now. He played. I think he signed Salford Cast. Then he signed Salford from here. Um, and at that stage, I was obviously, although it was I got to a stage really in second year, I was like, oh, it's great here and I love it and things like that. I was still only signing 1 years, but I still wanted to go higher again and sort of get out again. Um, and I would talks with agents to try and like obviously get an opportunity. I wanted to play championship at that stage. I want to get out into champ. So I wasn't settled in that second year, and then obviously third year, that was 2017. Uh, I think I got approached an opportunity to go to Bradford. So I was going to go to Bradford. Went down there, had conversation with, I think it was Rowan Smith at the time. Went down there, met him in Escape. I was going to go there, and I was so close to signing. I think they were speaking to another Aussie lad at the time, and it just didn't work out. Uh, I mean, thankfully it didn't, because I think they went into administration or liquidation that year. So I signed. I then, on the back of that, was obviously had a contract waiting for Newcastle, but I was sort of like, what's still next there with elsewhere, and then it was Bradford, and then I signed 3 years at Newcastle that year, and obviously Steph moved up then as well. Steph moved up that year when I signed that year. Um, yeah, but and then that's when we started to like get other players in then, and other good players started to come in. Some of the Aussie lads and things like that. And yeah, I loved it when they started bringing in bigger names. Obviously, a couple of years down the line when Dennis come in and
Yeah,
Simon Finnegan come in and that. And obviously, I played like I think I played with Simon at like under 20s when he was like dropped down from first team. So like it was great for them coming in. I had a lot of respect for them names.
yeah. So that chat with Bradford, mate, you
Mhm.
out you probably felt two things. I think you probably felt I'm very justified and I'm working hard and it's showing and people are seeing it. But also it's like the opportunity you were given, but you had to take it as well. If that makes sense, it's like it must be tricky, and then when it falls through, where do you go from there, mate? Because
Oh
I
mate, it's
imagine you've
funny,
gone
isn't
from
it?
feeling the absolute best to bit shit.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. You've hit the nail on the head. It was that was a tough like sort of 2 month period that because obviously conversations were going on. I was going down for like medicals and things like that down there. So went down for medicals, obviously started talking about money and negotiating that way. And then obviously Newcastle, I was starting to build a bit of love up here because I was sort of settled as like a key player at the time. And starting to build a good friendship group as well. So it was a bit of like, what do I do here? Didn't know what to do. Yeah,
Yeah, because I know a few of us lads used to use Magic Weekend as an opportunity to come and have a catch up, mate, didn't we?
yeah,
And
class.
obviously, no one knows who we are up there, but you could just hear people on about Evan Simons, this, Evan Simons, that, and like getting
Mm.
excited when you get the ball. And you know, when you know someone that people feel like that about, you're
Uh-huh.
like, fucking hell, he must be ripping it up here, like, because we know
Yeah,
you go, but it's different when like people you don't know are saying it.
yeah.
And it was like you were loved up there, weren't you? So I've no doubt it was very tricky, mate.
Yeah, no, and some really good people up here as well. So yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah, it was a tough time really. I mean, probably a blessing that they didn't go forward with it. So it was probably them I didn't say no, I'm not going. They turned around and said we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to go with someone else, and that obviously that made me mind up. Then I was like, okay, well I'm staying here, and it was a little bit of gutted, but actually, I'm happy. I've just got a 3 year deal here. Like, I'm buzzing. Really, I should be happy.
Yeah. And how
Yeah,
was it when Magic come round, mate? Because Newcastle made a big thing of it. Your kit had changed. You'd be all over the telly, wouldn't you? It's like
yeah,
fans from everyone and man and a dog would be turning up to your Friday
yeah,
night game, wouldn't they? How did you enjoy that?
yeah. They were great, mate. Yeah, they were. I think I had Shearer on my back one year, so I mean, I was buzzing with that. Obviously, Shearer up here is God, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
got
it
a
was
new
great.
god now, lads.
No, honestly, John, it was class that, and the
Yeah,
club done it really well as well. Obviously, they
yeah,
filled it. They filled it on a Friday night. I think it was like 2,500, 3,000, which was like obviously a lot. I think
yeah,
one of the most I played with. Obviously, when Toronto come in, we went out there, and that was like what I think they had like 7,000, probably the most played in front of really. But yeah, good buzz for the weekend, and then us playing on the Friday, and then being able to go Magic Weekend all weekend, and obviously just getting a drink and enjoy that. Yeah, and obviously see all faces and Widnes coming up, and obviously Widnes were up at what I think it was
yeah.
at one of the end. I think Widnes done like a collab as well with Newcastle at the
Did,
time
mate.
because of the same
Yeah,
kit or something. So that
yeah,
was great. All that sort of stuff was great. Loved that.
yeah.
Loved that time.
Right. Well, do you know what, mate? You touched on it there. So when Toronto come around, I imagine there was a buzz there, mate, to be fit for that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So what was the crack with that? Did you, as a player, have to contribute to a flight? Did the club look after you?
No, no, they it was all
Did
covered.
they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was all
Right.
obviously and what you're spending out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you were getting match payments, but you weren't coming home with any, were you? You were out there. You know what I mean? It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
3 days out there,
how
four
was it?
days, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, was it?
unbelievable experience. Like, yeah, and I think we went for like some teams were going out at some teams were going out for like 2 days, but we ended up in the center of Toronto, and like we were with the Toronto team in that where they stayed, and some other clubs weren't doing that, so we dropped lucky, so we were right in the thick of it really, and we
Yeah.
stayed an extra day as well, which was great. But I do remember our director coming and saying before the game, We were never going to win. Like,
Yeah.
oh, something like that. I was like, oh, nice one. Like,
But was it
oh yeah,
like the experience mad, mate? Because the Americans and the Canadians love the sport, don't they?
yeah, yeah. It's mad because they were turning up like halfway through the game. You know, like an NFL game or something. They were all
Yeah.
like, it was empty at kickoff, and then like it was like 20 minutes left, and it was full, and like everyone was with a drum, and then the game was done. It was like, oh, he's all late.
Would that have been somewhere you'd have went without the rugby, Ev, do you think?
Probably not. No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I would do, but you know, I would go and travel there, but it was not something that I thought, oh, I want to go to Toronto. It was just that you end up there, yeah.
Because there are places, mate, where you go, oh, I'd love to go
Yeah,
there, but I'd be the same, to be honest. Like, Toronto's never really something
yeah, it's,
I'd have thought of, but as a player, you got
no,
to do it, and it
well, that's
opened
it.
your eyes
Yeah,
a little bit.
that was good. Yeah,
Yeah. So when did you know that your time at Newcastle was coming to an end, mate? How did that come round?
yeah. So we had, I think like so Dennis come in as director of rugby, and then Simon come in, and we got to the playoff final in that year. We should have won. We had it. We had probably the best team I've played with really that year.
Yeah,
Um, we had like Mikey Lewis and that coming in on loan.
yeah,
You know, we had Mikey Lewis, Kieran Gill, and it was like Sam Luckley, Joel Edwards who played NRL. We had some top players coming in, couple of others on loan as well. And we got beat by Oldham on like near like the last play of the game. It was horrible because you know obviously I'd been up here a good couple of years, and for us to get promoted into championship when I wanted to play, that was a goal really, to go and play championship um, with Newcastle and get promoted. Like obviously that would have been like I would have loved that, but obviously it wasn't meant to be. And then the next year we went into COVID, so we built a really good squad, and then I reckon we would. Obviously, you don't know, but I reckon we would have just walked that league. Then we went unbeaten up till COVID, and we were beating. I think we beat Dewsbury in a Challenge Cup, uh, and they were obviously Championship at the time. So
sort of
we were,
sets a good tone, doesn't it?
yeah, we were ready to kick on really that year, and then obviously went into COVID, and then after that, I think Simon left, went to Widnes. Simon signed for Widnes. I was gutted because I like Simon. Thought he was probably one of the best coaches I've had. And then Freddie come in. Freddie O'Carroll come in. Couple of other lads come in. And then had a year, another year there, another year playing there. And we didn't do great. I think we probably underperformed that year. And then they said they were going to go full time the next year. And probably during this period, I'd started working for like 4 years, and I was just working in like a factory up the road in Sunderland, and I'd been there
Right.
for like 3 or 4 years, and then I'd got took on, um, and then we went into sort of they went to go full time, and what they was offering me was probably not. You know, I couldn't. I said I'm at a stage now. I can't be quit. Like I'd love to go full time, but I can't do it for that sort of thing. So it come to like a tough period. It was like, well, what am I going to sort of do now? Like, where am I going to go now? So a couple of lads the year before had gone over to Workington. So obviously I spoke to Chris Thorman and spoke to me agent, and you know tried to get what I could out of Newcastle, but they just probably wasn't budging really, and or they probably wasn't giving me what I felt I deserved for like you know what not just for the past because that means nothing, but obviously what I still felt I could bring at the time. Um, so then I went on. So then I left and signed for Workington. Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause we all value it in people, but in sport, mate, loyalty don't mean nothing, does it?
yeah,
Unfortunately,
it
but it
means
should
nothing, right?
should be
Yeah,
credit in the bank for me, but
yeah.
it
It's a
doesn't, mate,
business.
does it?
Yeah, it's business.
I
I
get
get
it.
it.
Yeah,
You know, people make
yeah,
decisions. Everyone's views on it different as well, aren't they? People
yeah,
see the game differently.
yeah. Especially
Yeah.
from my side, because I've never hit the levels you've hit.
Mm.
I imagine you see the ugly side quite a lot, don't you?
It can be ugly as well. Like all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes, it can probably be ugly, and probably rugby league's probably one of the worst sports I reckon for it as well, uh, as you can
No, it
imagine.
probably is, mate, innit?
Yeah,
Because
it's not like footy
it's
and
like
all that.
no, and people get released like an awful lot, don't they?
Yeah,
Like
and
just at the
sent out
top of
on
your
loan, exactly.
yeah,
Sent
to
out
the
on
arse
loan
end of
all over the
nowhere and
place.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how did you juggle work and that, mate? Did you ever find that a struggle?
Oh yeah, it's tough, mate. Yeah. So obviously you're working all week and then you're playing on the weekend and then Sunday you've played away in, I don't know, Batley away or something like that, and then you're up at 6 the next morning going in. It's tough. Like part-time rugby is tough. You're not getting that recovery and all that like you're probably getting it full time, and you get the day off the next day, or you come in for a bit of recovery and then you're off for the day with your family. It's sort of you're straight back into it, and then work. Obviously, you've got jobs to do there. You can't just sit around. So that was tough. Yeah.
Not quite the side of the story they tell the dream to you, boy, is it?
Is it,
It's
mate?
not,
It's
mate,
tough.
is it?
It's why you come out
Yeah,
looking
no.
old.
You don't look old, pal. So how was it at Workington, mate? Was because you mentioned before that it's probably the only time you've commuted.
Yeah, only time I commuted really, and I was going over with like my best mates really. Now going over in the car together, oh, it was hilarious. And although we got battered every week, honestly, it was one of my favourite years I've had of rugby. I
Yeah,
think I'd chilled out a little bit by now as well in terms of I'd realised this is probably I'm not going to go to the top now in terms of like Super League and that. I'm happy I've played champ. You know what I mean? It's going to be very, very unlikely I'm going to go to Super League. So I'm going to start to like build other foundations as well. Obviously outside the work, and then going over to Workington and just playing with a good group of lads who generally they just they were just playing rugby, but it was like not serious for them, but just enjoyed playing. And I enjoyed that. I liked it. Yeah, I like that.
it was semi back to again playing as a kid, mate. By the sounds, just with a bit of pocket money without being rude to
That's it,
Workington.
mate. That's it,
Yeah,
mate. Yeah, and obviously, but
yeah,
we were playing like we were playing champ. We got battered, as I say, every week. Funny, we were playing. Obviously, we played Lee that year. You know
yeah.
what I mean? All those lads from like in here Workington, they had like Ferguson and that playing against him, like all those trying to belt him and stuff. Josh Chanley and that running
Yeah.
at you.
Because probably all the bounties on them off you, didn't they, for everyone
Honestly,
to clock them and that.
it was funny, coming like when you see them lining up before like that, and you're just looking at them and you're thinking, Jesus, like that's the top level. You know what I
Internationals.
mean? He's
Yeah.
a prime. He's a ready to go. He's been on BCAAs for 3 days.
But again, like you're probably also half joking, but thinking, what an opportunity.
Oh, 100%, yeah, yeah. And especially, like, obviously, I don't know if you know many Cumbrians, but the Workington sort of way, it's like similar to back home, really. Like, just try and put a shot on someone, you know what I mean? If you
Yeah,
do that, the game
love
was
you.
gone after like half an hour. But if you can belt someone, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They loved it over there.
Were you comfy in the champ, Ev, when you were playing there? Did you feel like you could cope with it regularly, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, obviously, I played with Newcastle in the champ when we had a good team then, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, felt comfortable. Yeah, yeah,
So
enjoyed it.
what when you're going up through through them lower levels, mate, as you're going up, what difference do you notice tends to be the same difference but better every time? Is it just
Yeah.
speed really more than technicalities?
Obviously speed, and then obviously lads are more physical across the board as well. Like lower and the ability as well. So like at the sort of lower levels as you're going through, you might have two or three good players who stand out. You'll see you go and watch like the Wids or whatever, you might see like five players on the team thinking, oh, he's all right, like he's good. But sort of like the general flow of people of players are better. Like so yeah, I'd probably say that across the board, there's no one like who's a liability. They're all doing the job, sort of thing. That's what I would. Probably what I'd say. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
that's when
so
it gets to finer detail stuff. I'd say.
exactly what I was going to say. So rather than
Mm.
picking an A, you're picking a slight weakness, then aren't you?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
just
I
a
would
little
say that.
chink in the armour in it, mate.
Yeah, and it would Super League again. You go up again, and
even
it'd be
finer.
even
Yeah,
further. Yeah, can
yeah.
imagine. Yeah,
So you went back to Newcastle, mate, didn't you? And
yeah.
what was the chat around that, and what made you go back?
God, yeah. So obviously, I'd finish. Obviously, it went tits up sort of at Newcastle when we wasn't there, and it. I think they went back to part time rugby and like had a big clear out. But I'd just stopped playing, so I only played half a season that season because I sort of couldn't agree on Chris Thorman, who was a coach at Workington. He went over and he's a Newcastle lad. Went over and signed for Newcastle, and just couldn't really agree on figures. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm happy with what I'm doing. Um, I don't need to go over there like for less. I'm going to be at if you pay me a certain amount, I'll play. Um, but yeah, then I don't know. Halfway through the year was sort of like I would like to go back, and so it's where the sort of like it's where most of my rugby's been played. Would like to go back. Obviously, Chris was in touch with us asking us to go back as well, and yeah, I'm just like worked it out and figured out and went back, and yeah, loved it. Some good lads there as well. Um, yeah, so it was good to go back and sort of finish it off there.
Yeah, and was you ready to call it a day? Was it right time,
I think
mate?
so. Yeah, I think so. I think after COVID, they had a little bit of a break and just got a bit of time back and enjoyed weekends and time and stuff that I just hadn't done all the way up to that age. And yeah, so yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like doing that. Mm,
How had you been with injuries, mate? I don't really remember
yeah,
you getting many.
yeah, I've been fine, mate. Yeah, fine with injuries. Obviously, like no, like noses and fingers, I've done my ribs a couple of times, but nothing like
Yeah,
serious. Knee clean out. Now, like it's going to
yeah.
put me on the side for a lot. Yeah, I've been lucky really with that. Yeah,
Because the other beautiful thing, mate, and it is beautiful as it daft as it might sound, is you've been able to do it on your terms.
yeah.
Not many lads get to do that today.
A lot of people say that. Yeah, and yeah, definitely right. Yeah, I mean, it probably would he have gone again? So obviously, Newcastle went into administration sort of thing, or it went
Yeah,
bust, didn't it, last year? Don't know. It was probably a blessing in disguise because I was sort of questioning them. Am I going to go around again? Am I going
yeah.
to go again? But I just thought, no, it's probably I'm done. Like I'm sort of done. So like you say, that is probably you're right. And a lot of lads, like you say, are not like lucky enough for that. So yeah, blessed in a way.
And again, without being rude, mate, because like fair play, they keep turning up, but because they're getting tonked a little bit, it might have tarnished that a bit on you, might it? And there's no real need to
It's
do
hard,
that.
mate. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard. Like I'd love to know my win percentage and loss percentage. Well, it's not. It's probably not good, really. Um,
but, but you loved
yeah.
it though, innit? That's what
Well,
matters.
that's it. I was just playing, and exactly probably
Yeah,
from the start, really. I was just playing and enjoyed it. Yeah.
class, mate. So what's the future for Mr. Simons?
What's the future? Just work, mate. Work.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a trot the egg in exclusive like me and Steph are expecting. So obviously,
Oh,
trot the egg in.
congratulations,
No,
mate.
yeah,
Yeah,
trot the
yeah.
egg in nose first.
Oh, well
It'll
done, mate.
probably it'll
Yeah.
probably be out before you manage to sort this out and click this up. But yeah, so that's what's left for us: family and work. Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, mate.
And you've truly settled in Newcastle, mate, and that's now home.
We think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We think so. Yeah, we've got a good. Obviously, a lot of lads who've played with along the years up here and made good mates with, and Steph's made their own sort of mates, their own community as well. So yeah, there's a bit to do miss home. Like I'd love to be able to go like down the Wids and that on a Sunday and stuff like that. Like that's probably something that's creeping in now as I'm starting to finish. Is probably would play for the Wids, mate, if it was around the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd love
Yeah.
to go and
Yeah.
play like that for the Wids, but I haven't got that bond really with the sort of amateur team round here
Yeah.
that
That's
it's got
understandable,
that.
that, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
do you know what? It's hard to establish, isn't it? Like joking
mm,
aside, and all you've because you've been
it
on the
is.
circuit and you've played a good standard, and it'd still be hard to be accepted, wouldn't it, at our age and that. I
Yeah,
do
well,
get
that's
that.
what I mean. I'd be going in completely like new, not knowing anyone or anything. I mean, that's not a problem. I would go in there, but it's just that sort of bond that you've built up from that connection with the Wids from that very first time that I went in as a kid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that was the first introduction to rugby was the Wids, and all
yeah,
I've only ever got happy memories from there, and like good values have been built from the Wids, good friends, good people around the club. So you know what it's like, you go in the Wids and you know someone, you
yeah.
can
It's
sit
like you've
down and
never
have a
been
pint
away,
with them.
mate. That's what I've got
That's
to
it,
say.
mate.
Yeah, yeah,
Your picture's on the wall. That's what Newey used to always say. No matter what, you're always welcome in here. Your picture's on the wall. And he used to
yeah.
say that
And
before
it
like
is.
finals, and it is. And you go in and you can speak to anyone and have a pint with anyone. So
Yeah,
miss that really, but yeah, I mean it's only 2.5 hours away really, and I'm still home a lot.
yeah.
I'll have 10
Yeah.
pints and drive home.
You end up back in Benny Road, mate. You'll be going, bloody hell, mate, what's going on? Right, mate. I've got a few daft questions for you. So, did you
All
used to
right,
have
mate.
any pre-match superstitions?
No, mate. No, I didn't really. No, no. I always used to prep well and things like that, but nothing like putting my socks on the wrong way or stuff like that. Never really had anything like that. No.
Right. So, this next word, mate, is different for everybody. But the toughest player you played with and against.
Toughest player I've played with and against. Don't know. I've played with some, yeah, tough lads. Because the way I probably take that question is like mentally tough and then physically tough. Because I think
Yeah,
there's two sort of different ways to sort of do that. So like physically tough. I obviously played with lads like Romain Navarrat. He was at Hemel at the time. He was tough French fella, tough cookie. Um, and like Alex Rowe, big physical. Like horror, I would hate to play against him. His hands were like shovels. Um, yeah, big tough lad. And then, but I love playing with like lads like Beans, like Liam McAvoy, one of my good mates, or Jack Aldis, who just loved that grind and that toughness and then doing them little things. So probably, although physically tough, like mentally tough as well. So when it got sort of hard, that's when they would sort of come out the shell. So I'd like that. I enjoyed
every
playing with
team
lads like
needs
that.
that, mate, don't they? Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
enjoyed
'Cause
that.
you fit that bracket as well, mate, don't you? You've got the
Exactly.
flair, but when
We had a
the
bond
stuff
like
gets
that.
going, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, mate. Your
And
favourite
then
away ground? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, go on. No, against probably again, yeah, mentally and physically. I don't know. There's some lads like that I had like what's his name, Joe Bullock. He played at Barrow at the time when he was coming through, and he was tough. A couple of the Cumbrian teams really. I think it was like Jared Stack and people like that. He was
Yeah.
they were tough lads. Like when you hit them, you knew you'd hit something like concrete.
Yeah.
So
So do you know
they
when
were
you've
always
been
tough.
through them leagues, mate? Has there been any players that have stood out to you and you've gone, do you know what, they're very much going to be something to look out for there?
Yeah,
Because you're fully exposed to all parts of the game during the game, aren't you?
yeah. There is there's a few who pop up and a few who you think about who you've played a couple of times and you just think
God,
about them the day before. You know what I mean? One of them couple of fellas like that.
yeah,
Um, so I think like Joe Bullock was one of them because he used to just carry hard, just physically like tougher, bigger than other people. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And fast as well, fit.
yeah.
So people like that were definitely in that bracket.
So you'd probably be looking at the bigger boys being in the middle third as well, wouldn't you? If you
Yeah,
keep seeing the same body coming down your channel, they've probably got
especially as a
something about
nine.
them, haven't they?
Just
Yeah,
getting
that's
ran at
what I
all day
mean.
by him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah,
if that same face is coming down your channel all day, they've probably
yeah,
got something about them, haven't they?
of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
they probably spotted the weakness. Think I'll run at him, that little fella, all
we don't know you then, did he?
the time.
Right, mate. Your favourite away ground?
Favorite away ground? I don't know. I liked, I liked Doncaster. I used to like playing there. Um, and then I like Yorks. I like Yorks. pitch is it? Yeah, the York away is decent, but probably obviously I played at Headingley as well a lot,
Yeah.
and that obviously that was a dream not to play there.
You
So
were Headingley, yeah.
it wasn't an away ground, but it was somewhere I've played away.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was
Technically it is, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
We played it in a Cumbrian derby on what was it, Summer Bash. We played it.
Oh yeah.
We played there. Yeah, so yeah, I loved that. That was a class
Yeah.
experience. That
Do you like
yeah,
do you like the idea of like the summer bash and the Magic Weekend? Do you agree with them, mate? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think they're good. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know where and what. I haven't really got an opinion on where and what. I think they're doing it in Leeds, aren't they, this year? At Headingley,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, Ellen Road, is it?
Ellen
Yeah,
Road. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
You like them, mate, yeah. Right. So if you could tell a younger Ev something, what would it be?
God, I'd probably just say enjoy the process along the way, relax a little bit, and obviously I was always thinking about what's next and what am I going to do next, and worrying about where I'm going to be, and fighting like that battle constantly. But probably just enjoy that process a little bit more. Uh, Obviously, that probably comes with maturity in that as well.
When Muppets like me come in my area, mate, you probably only chance you get to think
Yeah.
about it in it and
Do you know what
have a little look
when you
back on it.
messaged us like the other day? You made me
Yeah,
think, and it's been like last couple of days I've been thinking about it, and it's been class.
yeah,
I've pinned together exactly what I've done because I've never really I just stopped and then just that was it. But to actually look back and think about it, I thought, yeah, and yeah, probably appreciate it more now that you've reached out and we're having a chat about it.
you should as well, mate, because you've worked bloody hard for it, haven't
Mm.
you?
Yeah, I know it's one of them where you don't think about, you're just in it. You know what I mean,
It's
John?
modesty, Ev, in it. It's just
Yeah, you're
because
just in it.
like you're trying to be like proper about it, but
Mm.
like not saying we're best mates, but because we've not seen each other for a while.
Of
But
course,
as
mate.
a group of mates, when we see you and that, we probably overlook it because you're a mate.
Yeah.
It's a class achievement what you've done. Some
Mm.
lads only can have a dream of that. Ev.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there is that little thing in me though that is like still I've not gone to the top. Like honestly, I think that's probably something that's don't know, there's probably something in there from my upbringing as we're always wanting the best. And which is great, but there's also a downside to that as well. You know what I mean, John?
If you
There's
don't
that
get there, like
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
yeah, there's that, but
yeah.
obviously great, happy with how far I've come and what I've done, and especially like you say, like the last couple of days, thinking back, made me think, oh, actually, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, good.
buzzing what I've done, yeah.
Yeah, you should be, mate. So if you were out and about and we'd had a few beers, mate, and the microphones in your hand, what karaoke song are you giving
Wouldn't be
us?
in my hand. That's what would not be in my hand.
I'll be honest, I have to be pissed if I get
Oh,
one, like,
oh,
but
mate, I can't. What do you sing then? Mate,
so
I'm
I'm
awful.
like, picture of you boys up.
Oh, a bit of boys on, are
Oh,
you?
I try, Valerie. I
Oh
try
God,
it.
got some high
Yeah.
pitches in that though, hasn't
My voice isn't the strongest, is it? I've
it?
not got the deepest voice, so I can sort of get away. And then I try and get people involved, in them
Yeah,
bits.
that'd be me.
Yeah,
That'd be me.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
Paul.
do
I
need help.
haven't honestly. I haven't got. Probably haven't even got a song. That's poor. That isn't it? From someone who's
Never done an
probably.
initiation then, mate. You've been quite
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah. Oh well, I've done initiations and obviously I've done them along, and then I can't even remember. I didn't have a go-to song sort of thing. It would just sort of just pick something up
Probably
out of.
go after something where they could join in, like Wonderwall or something,
Well,
and
yeah,
it gets people.
something like
Yeah.
that. Whereas everyone's like, "Oh, you're not special, but you've got it done." One of them, innit?
I'd say that. I won't lie
That
to you.
that
I'd
was
say
me. I was one of them
that.
dredging it.
All right, mate. And if you're willing
All
to,
right, mate.
1 to 13 that you've played with,
God, this is hard. I don't know. I couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't put one in place. I don't reckon that. But in terms of like, I could probably just name a couple of standout players who've obviously played with. I think I've mentioned a couple along there, but like Mikey Lewis and that when he was coming through, obviously you've seen what he's gone on to do and things like that.
he had
Um,
that when he was with you as well. Yeah.
he was only like 17, I think, when he come in. He come on loan, and he honestly, I've never. You just knew he was like gonna go on to
Different.
be
Yeah.
as good as he is.
Because
Yeah,
he did rip it up at York, mate, didn't he? I think
he
that's
was
when people
class, mate.
started noticing him, didn't they?
Yeah, he was chipping it over the top and that, and like like he done in Super
Oh,
League when
but
he done
with
that
you,
in
he was as
Warrington.
a kid.
He was doing,
Yeah.
yeah, he was just doing that like nothing and
Right.
just going to collect it round in the fullback. Um, Yeah, some great tries and that he scored and that with us. But then I don't know. I'd probably have to go back to that that 2019 team. I think it was with under Simon because we had like got a few written down there. We had like obviously Michael Lewis. We had like Missy Talapape, tough.
Yeah.
Obviously still going as well. Missy, like
Yes.
when you speak about toughest lads as well, he's probably can fall into that category because he's still just going.
He looks
Tough as
tough
old
as well,
boots.
Donny. He's ripped to death.
Yeah, he's tough as old boots. Missy, good lad as well. Um, who else do we have? Like QLT and that in there.
Yeah.
Uh, obviously, Joel Edwards who we touch on. He played like I think it was like 200 NRL games or something. He had like Matty Wright. He'd been in NRL. Um, so there's like standout lads there as well who've come through. Yeah, but honestly I couldn't name like a 1 to 13. Take me time. It'd take me some time, that mate.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I apologise.
Sorry, mate.
So just a few things then, mate. If you wasn't playing nine, what would you want from a nine? Because I've no doubt, did you play a little bit of seven when you were needed and
No, I
everything?
played a bit of 13 actually. So
Did
when
you?
that, yeah. So when Simon come in, obviously Bob Bezic come in, and he was starting. He played big minutes, fit as hell. And I would come. I was on the bench. I'd come on after 20 minutes and play a bit of 13, but it's like a differential. But I played really well. Like we linked up really well, me and Bob, with that because I sort of knew we have that connection there. Now we were like the sort of the connection between the middle and then obviously the backs, and
Yeah.
we'd get out. So we linked up well there. But um, and what would want from a nine? Just a lot of distribution, tough.
The deck
Um,
ball, mate, or would you be happy if they jump?
but what me is it like a middle? Do you say if I was a middle? Do you
Yeah,
mean?
so
Yeah,
say you wanted the ball like we used to call a simmies, didn't we, at the width and that.
yeah,
So say you wanted a simmies, but he jumped first and didn't
yeah,
give it off the floor. Are you
yeah,
happy with him doing that because he's playing what he's seeing, or would you have wanted it off the floor? Are you happy to just go with the flow of the game, and if he sees something, go with it?
yeah. Probably more of an off the
Yeah,
cuff player and just go along with like what's there, like adapting. So that's probably something that would, yeah, you'd want more of around that, and probably the higher up you go as well in terms of Super League and that they adapt quickly, don't they? Like that's where the top players are when they don't get what's actually called for. It's off the cuff a little bit as well, like
definitely.
a
That's
mix of
Clark
both.
does it a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, like a mix of
Yeah,
both. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, but you see sometimes it goes wrong, doesn't it?
yeah.
And he gets
I
up and
suppose
someone
if
will
you're
go
given
for it.
that license, though, Ev, you
Of
don't
course,
really
mate.
mind the edit on the back there because you've been given the
100%.
freedom to have a go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So if I was middles just want the ball straight off the deck. They don't
yeah,
want any of that. Like that's the argument you'd have all the way like down the years of just give me it. Like they're saying just give me it and you're jumping out.
yeah.
You get it all the time. Yeah,
Right, because I suppose you've got to fix a marker at some point, haven't you, to give him that
mm,
chance. The
yeah.
only clear way to do that Ev, is to jump
Little
in it.
step. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you had the step I didn't have been just let me have the ball and trotted it in dead slow because you're rapid.
You could have gone up the arse with the play the ball. I've
All
done
right,
that a
mate.
few
Thanks
times, don't
very
worry,
much.
mate.